Doreen Granpeesheh is the
Dr. Doreen is an expert in autism.
Doreen Granpeesheh.
Dr. Granpeesheh.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh is a visionary in the field of autism. Now you can ask her questions on Ask Dr. Doreen. Pop says, my 4-year-old with ASD son will answer questions about facts or his environment, but doesn't answer at all about his day or life. Sometimes it's something very emotional / important to him. Then he recounts in detail, and they want to know why that might be.
Yeah, and that's so common. So that's a really common thing that happens, and it's actually not a bad thing. If you think about it, it's the beginning of, it's the correct order of things. So when I'll just give you a little bit more detail about this. So whenever I have kids who, parents will say, like, I'll ask him something like, what did you do today at school? And the child cannot answer at all. Like, he just doesn't know how they're supposed to answer that. Then the way that we teach that skill is we start by teaching the child to talk about any kind of emotional or important event first. And that's actually the right order of things. Because if you think of any other, like, neurotypical child, they're not going to, if an emotional or important event took place during their day, that should be the first thing they tell you. But then they go on and tell you the rest of the day, right? So, like, for instance, the child will say, you get in the car after school and you'll be like, how was your day at school? And they'll say, well, oh my gosh, we had a fire alarm, right? That's the first thing they'll tell you. But then you'll say, oh, wow, and what else happened? And then they'll tell you, yeah, math class, this happened, and I played with so-and-so, and then they'll tell you the rest of the day. So it is good that your child is responding with the very important or emotional, but what you're missing is that the child needs to go on and be able to tell you the rest of the day. The way that you do that, or that we teach that, is to actually list the day. So in any kind of blocks that make sense to your child, it could be by, let's say if you're talking about what did they do in school, so you could say each class, you could have the recess and lunch, you could just divide it according to something. Like if it's, if it's not during school, then you can divide it by morning, afternoon, evening, that kind of stuff. Whatever concept you can give your child. You can use visuals, which would be pictures of the child in those particular environments, or you could actually just have the child fill it in. Depends on the child's capability or ability to express things. You will initially put the content in there as an example. So you'll say, you can do it, let's say, with a morning on a weekend. What did we do this morning? And then you can have with breakfast a picture, then we played outside a picture, then, we got in the car and then we went shopping. And so you can give that kind of routine through visuals to your child. And if your child is a reader, you can also write them out, which might be easier. But then your child starts to get the idea of how to sequence things in their day and how to talk about those sequences of activities. And then you can broaden it to periods of time when you're not there. That is one of our lessons that we do in skills.
And Amanda has brought up something that you've recommended to us before that many of us have taken advantage of. She says, we used to have the teacher send home 5 things that my son did, which helped with his goal. You talk about that all the time with us. Tell them how that works.
I love having just like a notebook or a little something that's like in the child's backpack or attached to it where the teacher can, like if you actually provide those blocks of time, the teacher can actually also fill those in, so that you have something to validate your child's responses to. But I think keeping a journal that goes back and forth is super informative. We really don't know what our kids do in school all day. We have no idea, but it's very important if you can have some sort of contact on a regular basis, because then you can also write to the teacher if things happen at home that you want the teacher to know, like he didn't sleep last night, or, we had guests over and he slept really late, or this morning he seemed to be a little sick, or whatever it is, it's really important to have that communication.
Yeah, and I think former classroom teacher here, a lot of times when you ask, if you just go to the teacher and say, hey, so I'd like to add this thing where you write in here and send it back and forth journal wise, the teacher is just going to go, oh man, I got one more thing to do, right? But if you go about it in the right way, the way Dr. Granpeesheh describes, it ends up being a plus for the teacher. So I always say, when you're first talking about it with the teacher, if you say, hey, we're going to be setting up a reward system at home to follow what he does here at school. And so whether it's a token economy as part of the journal or just the journal, so you say, so we want to know, like, how much of a reward does he earn? Teachers always love it when the parent says, we're going to be doing something at home to make sure that we get good behavior in the classroom, because that just takes pressure off of them. And that's the way that you can get a teacher to, and if you say, and by the way, if you'll write just 2 things that I should ask him about, or 3 things that I should ask him about on the paper, I will make sure to follow through on that, and we'll give him a reward for doing that. I think you'll find that most teachers will be all too happy to share information back and forth. So often in today's system, it's so hard. They make it so inaccessible for parents, so that you don't know what's happening with your child in the classroom. But the horrible other side of the equation is that teachers are like, I wish the parents would take more interest.
That's right.
And if there's a way that we could just bridge that gap, because I think sometimes the intentions are not there, but a lot of times, especially in our community, the intentions are there on both directions. And if we can just bridge that gap and let them know that you're on the same team with them, I think most teachers will be more than happy. So if you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me, and one for you too. Bye-bye for now.
To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.